Hello and welcome to Second Life's Lab Gab, a live streaming show that showcases events, destinations, and different talents in Second Life. I'm your host, Strawberry Linden, and today on our show we have our beloved CEO of Linden Lab, Ebbe Altberg, and the lovely VP of Product, Grumpity Linden. Welcome to the show, Ebbe and Grumpity. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi,
Great to be here.
It's
thank you.
it's wonderful to have you both, and I have a lot of questions for you guys. But before I start, I just want to say that the majority of the questions that I'm about to ask you came from our Second Life community, and there were a lot of different topics that people had questions about, which I will try and ask. However, I am going to skip the marketing and Linden Homes related questions for another day when I have the marketing team on and the product team on. So hopefully I'll have them on in the next few weeks. Just watch the blogs for the announcements for that. So we're going to start talking about the 2020 roadmap for Second Life. But before we get into that, Ebbe, can you give us an update on Sansar?
Yeah, as you might have heard, sadly, we have decided that we, as Linden Lab, couldn't continue to sponsor the project financially. So we're looking for a plan B for Sansar to continue. And I can't say much, but we're having very interesting conversations with several parties to um, help that project move forward, which I'm really excited about. But no deal is done yet, so people will just have to be patient and see what happens with it. But yes, it is true that Linden Lab going forward will focus entirely on Second Life and Tilia. And so, but I'm still busy, making sure that Sansar finds a great home and that the great work that that team has started can continue. So that's where things are at. Hopefully, we can be more specific on what's going on in the next couple of weeks or so. So lots of conversations going on.
So looking forward to more specifics. We did do an update recently in our blog and mentioned some heavy hitters that came back to SL, and people have been speculating that it might be Philip Rosedale, and we're just wondering if that's the case, especially because I have a super duper crush on him.
Everybody has a bit of a crush on
Right?
Philip, though.
Yeah, no, me too. Um, no, Philip is not coming back to the lab. He's busy with his own stuff, but I do meet Philip frequently. We meet at least once a quarter, if not more often, and we also text chat every now and then. And we often sit down for breakfast or lunch or something together and talk about the industry and what's going on and what's working for them and what's working for us, and kind of sharing a lot of things with each other. We're trying different things and we're trying to learn from each other, and we're great friends, and we're obviously very appreciative of what he started, and I'm very honored to be able to continue with this phenomenal world of Second Life. So yeah, no, he's coming back, but they're in the process of disconnecting ourselves from Sansar. We did have um, I think three people that have some of which have tremendous past experience with Second Life, come back to the Second Life team and help us move forward. So we had an opportunity. We did in the process of sort of right sizing ourselves, lose a few Lindens who had been with us for a long time. We made some adjustments with where we're spending our money and where resources are most needed, and so there were some people we lost, but also a few heavy hitters, as you said,
Hmm.
who was able to join the Second Life team in the process. So I feel really good about where we are now. We're financially very healthy position, and uh, it was very sad because a lot of really
Yeah.
good friends, like I said, were let go. But we're doing everything we can to help every one of them to find a good next home. So, but uh, so I feel like we're actually in a really good, strong position to invest in Second Life and Tilia and continue to just get better and better.
Oh, that's good to hear. So now,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And I just wanted
Hmm.
to add that I know there's a lot of interest in specific names, and just out of respect for our employees' privacy, we're not going to name names, but some astute residents have noticed a few people on who hadn't been on in a while. So keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Then we'll let them introduce themselves if they want to, but that's up to them.
That's a good plan. So now on to Second Life. I know the main focus of 2020 for Second Life is Uplift. So can you tell us more about what Uplift is and how long it will take?
Uplift is the word we use to describe moving all of the Second Life infrastructure into the cloud. And I know we've been talking about it for a while. We've done a lot of preparation to make it possible, but a lot of the heavy lifting and moving, which is why Uplift, is actually happening this year. We're making good progress. It's a little bit scary and a lot exciting, and there's a ton of work to do. Um, but we have an amazing team, and everybody's stepping up to the task. Um, so the process, imagine that all of the services that Second Life runs on were sitting in the colo, and they're talking to each other in physical space connected by some cables and wires. Um, and now they have to move into the cloud where there's no physical proximity. So there's a lot of infrastructure changes that have to happen in order for this to be possible, and we're making them. Along the way, there's a lot of benefits we can reap as well. Um, Somebody else is going to do all the upgrading of our hardware as it ages out. And we will be able to spin up and down as needed, depending on, let's say, the time of day or the season. Um, we will in the future be able to be closer to the edges so that residents in, let's say, Australia have lower latency, etc. Um,
Oh, good to know.
we are, yeah, super excited about the possibilities, but there's a lot of hard work to do right now. Uh, Unfortunately, that means that unless we focus on Uplift, this is going to drag on forever, and we really don't want it to drag on forever, which means a lot of the developers' focus and efforts are not going to be spent on feature work.
Hmm.
So the rate at which we do feature development is slowing down. There's still quite a few exciting things we can do and are doing, but just hold tight. We expect to be done by the end of 2020 and onwards and upwards at that point.
Definitely. So my next question, many years ago, Linden Lab used to give out economic statistics for Second Life, and this hasn't happened for a while. Can you tell us why that stopped and if we plan to start sharing those and other kinds of statistics in the near future?
Yeah, I chatted with Grumpy about this. I think we used to have some real-time data displayed somewhere on our website.
Yeah.
It was removed before Grumpy and I got here, and we, again, it's about focus. We this uplift project is ginormous, and there's some other things that have way more benefit to all of us than a project of getting data like that back on the website, because everything like that takes time and effort to get out there and to operate and maintain. And so we're currently not planning to put some of that data back out there. Maybe we can do some spot information updates for people to get people to understand what's going on a little more on our blog or something. But yeah, we don't want to invest time and energy in starting to put out more data when we have so much other stuff to do.
Um, yeah, we kind of went back and forth, and ultimately we said this is about focus. We have to be able to say no to projects despite really wanting to do them and thinking they're a good idea. And it's even more frustrating for us than it is for our residents sometimes, because we truly want to be able to do all the things. But unless we're able to maintain focus and say no a lot, um, we're going to spread ourselves too thin.
Yeah, success is absolutely often more related to what you don't do versus what you do do. So yeah, focus is critical. So yeah, and I just want to the Uplift project it is ginormous, and we are very committed to complete it this year. And so um, beyond this year, it start to incur expenses we don't want to deal with. So uh, it's a come hell or high water, we're going to get that uplift completed this year, and other things will just have to wait.
Yeah,
Apart from a few cool things that are still going to happen along the side.
definitely looking forward to that. So, my next question, on a daily basis, I get asked on the socials if we have a mobile app for Second Life. Can you give us more information on what we are working on for mobile?
Yeah, we have development underway, sort of internal, call it internal alpha of a mobile, what we call a companion app.
Hmm.
It's not a 3D viewer. It's really about being, continue to be able to connect it to community with chat and ultimately group chat and all that, and access to tools for merchants to be able to do customer support and ultimately buying and selling. And so we'll see how the features roll out over time, but I primarily want to start out with it being a good communication companion, so that when you walk away from your PC, you can still stay connected to your friends, your communities, your customers, or whatever. And then we'll continue to add things onto the app as we go along, depending on feedback and requests and what makes sense. But yeah, I think communication is this first step to solve for.
Absolutely. So, it was also asked about the same topic, if there was a way for people to test or give feedback for the mobile app. Will there be like a program people can join, or will there be a call for testing that people can sign up for?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Grumpy can speak more to sort of specifically, but we'll have an alpha or a beta or something out, and I'm not sure if we do that on a test grid or full grid or whatever. But yeah, there obviously will be an iterative process of getting it out to people. I'm not sure if we let everybody jump on it right away or by invite or something. I'm not sure exactly what process, but first things first, we got to get an app that works well enough for us internally that we can expose it to the world, and then decide how we sort of roll it out. But uh, hopefully, we can get it in as many people's hands as possible as soon as possible, so we can start the feedback loop and keep improving it.
So there's no ETA on that, obviously, yet. Company's gonna be like,
um, uh,
I don't think we can
those
commit to a
who,
date yet, but I
okay.
would say we're talking inside of, like, is it fair to say inside a couple of months we should have something out there to be tested?
Oh,
yeah, I think a closed alpha, hopefully even sooner than that. And then we're going to open it up, depending on how quickly we're able to poke holes in the alpha. Hopefully, something out as a beta to the public
okay,
in Q2.
good. I'm looking forward to that too. So next question is about Premium Plus. Can you tell us more about that, and when is it hitting the grid, and will current Premium members get any kind of discount to upgrade?
Plus, it's plus
Oh, plus,
strawberry.
sorry.
I think Ebbe has refused to call it plus. Maybe
Okay.
not Ebbe. Patch. Patch has said he won't do it.
Okay.
Um, but I committed. There was a promise made.
Okay. Well, I might have to go with Patch on
Anyway,
refuse.
so okay, fine. Um, Premium Plus is coming soon. Those who attend the third-party viewer meetings and a few other user groups will know that we do not commit to release dates for somewhat obvious reasons. But we have various gradations of soon. There's the really soon,
Mhm.
soon, and not very soon. Um, this is in the middle. It's pretty soon. Um, so Premium Plus, it will have a pro rating where we'll calculate basically a prorated amount that's left on your existing premium membership, which will be credited towards the cost of Plus when you
Mm.
upgrade. So you don't lose anything by being a premium member today, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, Yes, the Premium Plus will give a discount for those wanting to change their names. Whether people want to wait for it or not, I can't decide for them. It will be around a $20 difference between Plus and regular Premium in terms of cost. Um, there are certainly more benefits coming for Premium members, but
Mm.
I can't. They're not huge.
Discuss. Okay.
Right now, our focus is on developing Premium Plus and rolling that out. But
I'm laughing every time you say
I'm
please. Sorry.
trying really hard to maintain, keep my promise. I don't know. Maybe it'll stick. Um, anyway, so right now our focus is on getting all of the uh, piping in place to make multiple levels of service work. And once we take care of all of that, we will once again be able to continue to add value to both Premium and Premium Plus. Plus,
Got you.
You can't do it.
you got me.
So will the new Premium Plus give a discount for those wanting to change their names? Should people wait for that
Yes.
before changing? Oh, there will
It
be.
will give a discount. I don't know whether
Ooh.
people should wait. I mean, the way these things work, you may want to grab the name that's available now, or you may decide you want to wait for the Premium Plus. I said it will be about a $20 difference between the two.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So there are more benefits coming for premium members as well, or
Soon.
soon-ish.
Ish.
Okay. So let's move
Soon.
on to land. Sorry, Bebby, were you saying something?
No, I was just making
Okay.
fun of them.
So let's talk about land. Lots of questions about that, but of course, the biggest question is will land prices be decreased? And of course, any other upcoming changes about land that you guys can tell us about.
Actually, yes, I have an
Yay!
announcement to make.
Woohoo!
Exclusive, you heard it here. Um, we, as you know, we dropped prices on land several times uh, during the last couple of years, and the prices both on full price regions and on buy down regions and grandfathered prices have come down. The difference between full price and grandfathered price, however, has decreased. But we didn't fix our region transfer fee. That was a mistake. We're
Mhm.
going to fix it now. So the cost to transfer a buy down or a grandfathered region is going to be $300 instead of $600 it is today.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Um, there are no other land price changes at this time. Um,
Okay.
we try to be very careful with those changes. That said, we talk a lot with Ebbe about wanting to continue on the path of, balancing our revenue streams and reducing our dependence on land revenues uh, for a healthier economy. On the upside, we feel this has been working very well. And since 2017, when we first started making these changes to the land market prices, We've seen just a rebounding to health of the land economy, which is fantastic to know. But at the same time, we want to be really, really careful and measured in how we make these changes so that we don't disrupt the Second Life economy too much.
Yeah. So speaking about that, I'd like to get some information about the exchange rate. Is Linden Lab driving the exchange rate up on Lindex?
No, no, we're not.
We
No,
do not manipulate the exchange rate.
no, not at all. Um, very rarely, when we see that there's a need for maybe more supply of Linden dollars, do we sell in or called seniorage into the economy. But we have like we're a minuscule portion of the activity on the exchange. It's all between buyers and sellers in the community that ultimately sets the rate. And the fluctuations, sometimes it's hard to completely correlate what causes ups and downs, but we've made a lot of changes that, many of which Grumpity just spoke about, where we lower land prices, we increase the fees um, on what we call the GDP or transactions, um, whether it's on the marketplace or the cost of redeeming Linden dollars. And so these changes, causes have sort of impact on the overall economy and how things flow. And sometimes it takes a while for things to settle, which is why we're being so careful in making sure we don't do too big of a change or too frequent changes that would sort of upset the apple cart to the point where it sort of tumbles into a bad place. I mean, the changes we see in the exchange rate are not. It's not the first time we've seen this in the history of Second Life. This is, completely within bounds of what's happened before, and so I would speculate that, and there's some good evidence that this is more related to the tweaks we've been doing to the economy, which has been the right steps. As you heard from Grumpy, we see a good rebounding of land ownership, and which is great to see. It's kind of sad when people give up their wonderful worlds they've created because they can't afford to pay for the land. So,
Mhm.
and I've been saying this for I don't know how many years now, that we've been collecting too much from land and too little from the GDP, and we've made several adjustments, as you've seen over the last few years, to get a better balance and a healthier economy. And um, I would expect that whether the exchange rate will go up or down, it's hard to say, but I think it'll be stable going forward. Is my expectation. So, but yeah, to the actual question, no, we do nothing to manipulate the price on the Linden dollar.
Well, that's good to know. So there are a lot of questions about Marketplace. What are the updates that are planned for improving Marketplace and modernizing it? And is there anything that can be done to clean up the questionable content on there?
The marketplace.
Yay.
There has been a lot of work done on the marketplace over the past year or so. We've uh, tried to respond to some of the long-standing asks, get some low-hanging fruit, um, and obviously there's still a lot more to do. Work is planned. Unfortunately, as with other web properties, we do need to focus our attentions on Uplift for a bit, which means that for a little while, the feature work on the marketplace is going to slow down. However, I can respond to the content question a bit as well.
Mhm.
Um, we, it's practically impossible to get some of this questionable content preventively, right?
Mhm.
So to determine that one item is exactly like another item, and it shouldn't be, is nearly impossible programmatically, which means that this is a human scale problem, which means we have to rely on on our users, on you, to report these issues. We do have plans to change some of the processes we have in place and update them, so that kind of the escalation path is more effective, and so that we can deal better with people who are flaunting the rules.
Yeah.
Um, it is a difficult question, and it's also difficult because if I say too much, then I am kind of opening the path for the less than earnest actors to know what we're doing.
Right. Makes sense. But I'm glad there are things in place, and I think the best thing, like you said, right now is for the residents to pitch in and flag and report things, and that helps
And
us.
and I know it's super frustrating to report things and get no feedback about them,
Hmm.
but we just can't tell you, yes, that person you pointed out was a bad guy, or no, no, we think this content is legit. We can't respond to these things,
Right.
just like abuse reports.
Makes sense. Okay, so there are also a lot of questions about engine and server updates. So with the advancement of mesh and other features, there is a load on the servers causing lag. Is anything on the horizon to tackle this issue? Did I lose you guys? Hello?
Sorry, I muted myself to not, so you couldn't hear me coughing.
Okay.
Um, so, well, there are things both we and creators can do.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of suboptimal content being produced. So a lot of the lag is because people don't pay attention to poly counts or texture sizes, etc., to create the most optimum content possible. And there will always be people that just put in too much stuff or dragging super heavy content with tremendous amounts of polys
Hmm.
that makes rendering a chore and causes lag. So I appeal to everybody to make sure you understand your content well and that you optimize it as well as you can possibly do. Second, yes, the Uplift project, we're moving from our colo. The hardware we have in there is starting to age because we obviously didn't want to put in a capital expense to be on the latest and greatest hardware over there when we knew we are going to move to the cloud where we're
Hmm.
no longer required to acquire our own hardware. And so we have hardware now that is, I would say, a couple of generations out, which is kind of per plan before you decide to upgrade. But instead of upgrading, we're moving to the cloud. So once we're in the cloud, I'm hoping and I'm also expecting to see performance improvements because we can jump on the latest and greatest hardware there. And so over time, we can also play with what kinds of server instances we do utilize, what class, what specs to see what works the best. And I saw a question from, that Brett collected from the world as to whether people will be able to buy for or pay for extra, you know, um, high-end hardware
Hmm.
on the server side, and that's could become an optional feature we could offer down the road once we have the option of more easily sort of put regions of different types of class hardware and how we distribute them around the world. So I have a lot of hopes that moving to the cloud will give us a boost in general. And then second, creators, please do the best you can with optimizing your content. And then what can we do as an engine? I mean, an engine ultimately can only render so many polygons and deal with so many, megabytes of textures before it's going to cause problems. That's true for any engine. There is no engine that has unlimited capability. And so, but there, you know, further down the road, there could be things we can do to add, uh, more features to get, better tools for creators to understand what content is causing issues and what they can do to optimize it. Or can we even provide ways of, provide tools to make for easy decimation of content or etc. So, so first, please work on your content. Second, yes, we're moving to cloud. I have high expectations, but until we're there, it's hard to say. And then third, we'll see further beyond this year if there are more tools we can provide or should provide to make it easier to create performant content.
So
I've
exciting.
got a quick addition there. We are in the process of moving to the cloud, making changes, and looking at where we can improve performance. There have been a few notable improvements that make us very optimistic about the effects of Uplift on performance overall. Um, just as a quick example, marketplace due to a change that was made, marketplace assets, so meaning like the images and everything, um, were moved to a new platform, and we saw like an 11% improvement in page loading speeds just from that. Um, Similarly, we see speed ups and improvements as things are moving over. We're seeing more stability with resident inventories very recently. Um, and I know there was a lot of frustration there in the past. We're doing better. There's still lots of areas for improvement, and there are actually some changes in the next few simulator updates that make me very optimistic for region performance. I'm not saying we're moving simulators into the cloud. We're not. There's just some updates and changes. So we're constantly working on these things. And sometimes it feels like we're just in a game of whack a mole. As
Mhm.
soon as we find an area to fix, turns out there's something else waiting for our attention. Um,
Always the case.
but we're speeding up the whack a mole, just like in the arcade. They're going faster and faster.
I'm really looking forward to moving to the cloud, though. That hopefully that should really speed up a lot of things. So, I know I said I was going to save the marketing questions for when I have the marketing team on LabGab, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and I promise I will ask them as well. However, I did want to ask you guys, what is Linden Lab's plan to increase concurrency and to help to retain new users? And also, is there a way residents can help with these plans?
Sure. I'm, by the way, really looking forward to that lab gab. I think we have
Yeah.
a fantastic team, and they've done a lot of really good work over the past year or so, a bit more though. Um, so I'm excited for you to have them in the hot seat and be able to tell you about some of the details of the work they've been doing and the work that we plan on doing. In the meantime, one thing I wanted to address is that time and time again, we see that new users who retain the absolute best are people who have a friend,
Right.
ideally a friend who told them about Second Life and they tried it at their recommendation, because those people, once they try, they stay forever. It seems like this is just like the best predictor.
Mhm.
Um, so tell your friends,
Be
challenge them
nice.
to give it a try. Yeah. The other is when you see a noob, make a friend, be nice to them, hold
Right.
their hand for a bit, and the this is not anything that the marketing team can do. We've been working with various ways to add mentorship to the onboarding process, and we've seen some success. We're definitely doing more and testing more there, but nothing like making a friend, just like in real life. In the outside world, making a friend goes a long way. Having somebody show you the ropes is pretty awesome.
For sure.
I want to echo some things that you know Grumpy said about a great team. I mean, marketing is a combination of art and science, and we've made tremendous improvements on the science side, understanding more and more about the quality of traffic we're buying. We're able to spend a lot less for the same amount of traffic today than we were just like a year or two ago by just being much, much more data focused and data driven on traffic sources and quality of acquisition and incredible measurements of retention and engagement throughout the various funnels that we're testing. And we're doing a lot of A/B testing to try different onboarding messages and experiences and sort of constantly sort of iterating to improve things. So I think on the science side, we've made great strides in better understanding the types of users to acquire, how to acquire them, and doing it sort of cost effectively. And then I think we'll let Brett, he can speak more about that in a couple of weeks. And also the art side of things of what types of programs and messaging are we playing with and to grow Second Life. But just, the most basic thing is yes, we're all working hard and we all believe that we can grow Second Life. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, for sure. And I will definitely have the marketing team on soon, and we'll probably take questions for when I have them on too, if you guys have more about that. So the next question I wanted to ask is, can you tell us if any measures are being put into increase account security? Are there any plans to add two-factor authentication?
Yes, there are plans to add two-factor authentication.
Yay.
I just wanted to start with that.
Okay.
The path to getting to two-factor authentication has several steps along the way. The very first one is notifications when your account has been accessed from an unfamiliar location. And that, fingers crossed, should be coming soon, somewhere between soon and really soon. How's that? um, However, we will only send those emails to verified email addresses. So please go to your account online and change email settings, I believe.
Hmm.
We'll have this in the notes.
Yeah.
Change email settings and verify your email address. So as soon as this feature does roll out, we will be able to send you those notifications whenever your account was accessed from an unfamiliar location. Then the next step along that path will be to actually not allow a login from an unfamiliar location until you verify that this is you, which in effect would be a two-factor authentication. Um,
All right.
it is. As with all things Second Life, there are some complexities um, that weren't planned for 17 years ago when Second Life was just starting out, but we're getting through it.
Looking forward to that. So
Me too.
finally, everyone wants to know when they can change their name. So do you have an ETA on name changes and also any updates on the name change contest?
Well, I do, and I hear we have a special guest who can come on and tell us about this.
Yay! So I'm gonna
Ton, ton, ton.
invite I'm gonna invite Kira. I'm just gonna move her over. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. I'm just gonna move. Hi, Kira. We have
Hi,
Kira.
Kira.
I don't know if she can hear
Hello.
us. This is
Yep.
Kira Linden, everybody, and she's here to make a special announcement.
So I'm here to talk about the name change contest. I'm the product manager for the name change project. So I got to go through all of the lovely submissions everybody sent in, and I wanted to thank everybody who sent in submissions for the contest. There were some awesomely creative names in there. A lot that we can use, some that we cannot. We had over 2,400 submissions,
Oh, wow.
so it took a while to get through all those names. And if you can suggest up to 3 names per submission, that's a lot of names. So I've been reading through lots and lots of names. But I have managed to narrow it down to 8 names, and this is the first time we're announcing those names. Later today, I'll be emailing the people who submitted those, and as per our contest rules, you'll be getting a free name change as soon as that is available. But let me share with you in alphabetical order the names that are going to be among the first last names that are going to be available. And these, again, these aren't the only names that are available. We're going to have a long list of names. So, okay, here they are. Sorry, I lost it for a second. So the names, drum roll, Conundrum, Dismantled,
Ooh.
Huntsman, Little Paws, Nova, Ravenhurst, Wumpkins, and Yeatley. So
Wow.
we initially said 5, and I had a really difficult time narrowing those down to just 5 names. So I did go over a little bit. So there's a few extra ones in there from the contest. So again, I'll be emailing everybody out who submitted those names, those 8 names, and they will be getting a free name change when it's available.
Loving
Awesome.
those. Congrats to the winners.
Yes,
And
congrats, everybody.
thank you so much, Kira, for taking that on because it was really fun to look at the names. But I was like, oh man, I really don't want to be the one to choose these. Oh, so Kira's a
There were some good
hero.
names. There were some good names in there, man. It was really
It was
difficult,
so
but
fun.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, are you going to tell us when the name changes are coming?
No. So
Mean.
name the name change project, as I've been telling everybody, it's such a huge project. It touches every deep, dark, dusty corner of Second Life, and we've had to get in there and explore how name changes is going to affect pretty much every aspect of Second Life. So it's a large project. We want to make sure that it goes out in good condition. So it's taken a while to get through that. I do have a delivery date in mind that I'm not going to share because, as everybody knows,
Oh, come on.
as everybody knows, once we
It's
turn
so
it over to
close, I
our
can smell it.
once we turn it
Guys are
over to
just
our
teasing
wonderful
me.
QA team, they're going to find some stuff that we've missed along the way. So, I can't give you a solid date, but we'll
So
give you the
it's
trademarked soon
soon,
response.
hopefully sooner than soon.
Hopefully sooner than soon. Yep,
Okay.
yep. but
Okay,
but
well,
we're
that's
on
good
it
to.
every day. Great team working on it. We're trying to get it out there as quickly as we can for everybody, but being careful about it at the same time.
So I do have a two-part question on name changes. It's going to be a little bit long, but I'll try to speed up. So given the fee is liable to be around the $40 mark, will premium members be able to pay for a name change by converting the fee from their Linden balance to their US dollar balance with Tilia if they wish? And if so, will those who opt to do so and who have not already agreed to the Tilia terms of service have to agree to them, but will not have to provide proof of identity unless they subsequently opt to process credit funds and all that? So
All right, that's a lot to
I know.
unpack. Let me
Sorry.
dig in. So, having a Tilia balance as a payment method is always an option to pay for things that require a USD payment. Um, so, yes, if you sell Linden dollars, they will go to your Tilia balance. In order to have a Tilia balance, you need to agree to the terms of service. However, you don't need to submit additional information unless you are planning to process credit or cash out, as uh, it's described. So, correct. You could sell Linden's, make that a Tilia balance, and then
Mhm.
pay for the name change with the Tilia balance without ever processing credit. So, yes, agree to the terms of service if you haven't before. No, don't need to provide additional information in order to do this.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So those were all the pre-planned questions. I know there have been some questions coming in from the live stream. I think a few people have asked about EAP. I don't know if you have an answer for that.
Well,
uh,
I think we've decided finally that we're going to get it out there. There's
oh,
still things that people are going to notice that don't look the same. and we could keep iterating almost forever to get nothing look different. But there will be a few things where you will have some visual differences, and people might need to have to correct or change some content to uh, make up for that. But we figured just get it out there. I think, but I can't guarantee it yet. But it sounds like we're basically there with known issues,
We are
and
putting a stake in the ground
yeah, and so
somewhere between soon and really, really soon.
yeah, and so be prepared that some things will potentially look different, and we may not actually do anything about it. And so um, there's a huge product we all want these graphics engineers to move on to. So we need to stop twiddling and tweaking EAP forever. So get it out there. I'm saying sorry up front that some of your content will not look exactly like you would expect it to. Uh, Please be patient, and please just make changes um, to to your content, and don't necessarily expect us to fix every thing that ends up looking a bit different. So that we can have these engineers move on to a much more important project in my mind.
Mhm.
So we basically said enough is enough, get it out, and then I'm sorry in advance for some of the few tweaks that you might have to deal with to kind of get things back to where you want it. But then we'll have EAP out there, and it's more good than bad. So for sure, and then get these engineers to start working on really redoing our entire sort of graphics pipeline, and get to modern tech, and towards more meaningful performance and quality improvements. But that's a long road. We're talking a massive long project to do that. So that's about all I have to say about EAP.
I do see people asking about Belisara and Linden Homes, and again, I'm gonna save those questions
Patch
for
would kill me.
Yeah.
right?
And then he'd find everybody listening to the stream and kill them. So let's just leave it for Patch to talk
Yeah, I will
about.
definitely also have the product team, Patch and the rest of his team on, hopefully, possibly before or after the marketing team, and I'll get those questions out to them for sure. I know, Grumpy, did you have a note that you wanted to share or anything else you wanted to? I thought I saw you say that.
I'm,
Oh, sorry, that was for an earlier question, I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
I'm looking through the list here of
Yeah,
things.
if there's any question that has come up that you guys want to address while you're looking
I
for
I
that,
saw the question of VR come up several
yes.
times.
I
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
wanted to know, is that a possibility for Second Life?
not in the near term. I mean, you need to get to a solid 90 frames per second,
Okay.
and Sansar is not really built for sort of guaranteeing that kind of a frame
Second
rate.
Life
Second
is
Life.
not.
Oh, sorry, Second Life is not. Sansar is.
Sansar
Yeah, yeah.
was.
Sorry, Sansar
Yeah.
is. But once we get to the cloud, and once we do the whole graphics pipeline work and all this stuff, so we can reevaluate in say 18 to 24 months. But I would not expect us to spend any energy on VR in
Hmm.
the near term.
Okay. So while you're looking for the other questions to answer, I wanted to ask Grumpity, how come you're a monkey? I love it. I absolutely love it.
Um, I it's kind of a funny evolution. I discovered that I am just kind of more comfortable in my non-human avatars. Um, and it, also with the name, it's been kind of a funny evolution. I think the
Hmm.
first time I did a Meet the Lindens, there were comments where it was like, "Oh, today I discovered that Grumpity is not a dude from Odessa." Um, and it's not an anonymity, it's more like an ambiguity that prevents judgments from being formed about the person behind the avatar.
Hmm.
Plus, I kind of identify with a rainbow monkey.
You you so do. You so do.
I kind of do. I also identify with a bunch of stick figures in the same sense.
I love your stick figure
Also,
as
that's
well.
how my 5-year-old draws me. So
Oh.
there's that.
I think that monkey has all your hair colors you've had over the last couple of
Yeah,
years. And
I was gonna
I
ask
have been
you.
purple, and there's no purple on the monkey.
I was gonna
So
ask you
there's
kind
what.
that.
of, I think the ears kind of have a purple stripe in there as well.
Okay, fine,
All
you
right.
got
All right.
me.
I was
I
gonna.
saw another
Mhm.
another
Yeah, yeah.
question. I think it was Begineri asked, "Will islands only run? Where was it? When there are visitors, or something like that?"
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an on-demand region.
Yeah, um, it would be tricky to do in Second Life. Sansar does that. If no one is on a region, we basically park it on disk and we spin it up
Oh.
on the CPU on the fly when the first person comes to visit it, which makes for a much smaller footprint of running servers at any point in time. It's only the ones that are actively used that are running. So it's a more economically efficient model, which is why Sansar also can start out with like zero cost for land, if you will. Not sure if that will continue because Sansar has to figure out how to make money as well. Um, but in Second Life, all the regions run 24/7 nonstop. And we have special code to deal with when the servers have to be restarted to sort of save the complete state of all the scripts and everything running and sort of restore everything back so that you have this model of persistence where everything is where you left it the day before. Whereas in Sansar, if you move an object and then everybody leaves the server and then you come back the next day, that object has gone back to its original location, not where you last left it. So the
Hmm.
persistence model make it a little trickier to just do up on the fly, up down, kind of like second that like Sansar does. But maybe in the future we can offer like a non-persistent type of model at a different price point or whatever in the future in Second Life as well. These are experiments or ideas or sort of land models we can potentially explore once after we're in the cloud. So something to chat about, a year from now or so to see if there are new models that make sense. But yeah, originally no. The idea is that Second Life will continue to be running persistently nonstop.
There were a couple of things I saw scroll by that I wanted to
Sure.
address.
Hmm.
Um, about the Lindex, I wanted to say we are going to publish a blog talking about the Lindex. Started working on it now. It is one of those Second Life things that is really complex. One could argue overly complex, but that is the hand we've been dealt. We're going to publish a blog where we can talk a little bit more detail about how the Lindex works, how you can best take advantage of the fact that it is an exchange and a market and not just a one-to-one rate that the company sets and that's the rate you buy at. Um, so what the best way to take advantage of it is, and some historical data as well. There was an add-on question about the percentage of what Linden is selling into the market or printing money, and it is really minuscule. Like there's a bar graph where we track where the money comes from on the sell side of the Lindex. And when Linden is actually putting money in, it's barely visible on the bar graph, even. Um, and again, like this is not a regular occurrence. It happens once in a while when we find it necessary to do so to improve supply, for example. Because some of, Second Life is very seasonal. And a lot of things that happen in SL kind of depend on, whether it's cold outside in most of the world or not. Um, so there's a lot of fluctuation that we see just coming from that. Um, Questions about bringing people in. There are about roughly 5,000 new users. I mean, again, this fluctuates quite a bit. Roughly 5,000 new users logging into SL on any given day. Um, and we're doing quite a bit in terms of experimenting with the onboarding experience to see what works better. There are a lot of variables, but we're making strides, I think.
It's good news, and people are
I
happy to hear,
saw
looking forward to it.
I saw
Yeah.
someone ask about what an app for Android. We are thinking about that. We're starting with iOS because you kind of want to go deep before and figure out all the server and client optimizations to get a good mobile experience happening once and not do all the wonky stuff in parallel on two different platforms. So we'll figure out iOS, and when that's done, then it shouldn't be too much work because then it's mostly kind of a bit of sort of Android UI work to kind of create an Android client. So first solve the problem, and then sort of copy paste to Android, if you will, with the unique nuances of Android. But that's so it'll be there in the future, but iOS first. I also saw AI Austin ask if texture loading is quite a bit slow in the UK. Well, that's kind of interesting because we already do use a CDN for textures. So the textures you load around the world should be coming from somewhere near you on Akamai. Um, so this could be more an issue of actually that you do still have to load a world to talk to Phoenix in here in the US. And so the ping times, obviously, to Europe and even worse to Australia or other parts of the world. So getting the actual region servers closer to you is something we can explore, sometime maybe next year once we're in the cloud, because then we would have the option of putting server infrastructure in different regions. But that's quite a ways out.
Are there any other questions that you guys wanted to address before we wrap it up?
Yeah, we only have like 3 minutes to wrap
Lots,
Yeah.
up.
but there's, yeah,
Okay.
both of us have a hard stop, it looks like.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say thank you. I don't know if you guys want to say any last words before I close off or anything. I know you guys have to run.
I just want to say how excited I am that Strawberry's with us here in Linden. And
Making me blush.
yeah, and
Seriously.
that you run these shows, because I think every opportunity we get to communicate with all the Second Lifers about what's going on is helpful.
Mhm.
And so I just happy to be here, and I look forward to coming back soon again.
Yay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Ebbe, Grumpity, and thank you, Kira. She's still here.
Thank
um,
you, Kara.
I'm still here.
yeah. For being on the show and for answering all the questions from the community. I promise I will have the marketing and the product teams on soon in the next few weeks. Thanks to our viewers for watching. Keep an eye on the Second Life community blogs and, of course, our YouTube channel for future announcements about LabGab. Look in the description of the video for the links to our blogs. And that's it, guys. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.